It wasn't even close enough to be a horse race. The Arlington City Council has decided not to approve the recommendation for the proposed Trinity Turnpike. Barton Thompson told me today why he voted against the measure.
Our highways are supported by the gasoline taxes and the taxes that we all pay. And our toll road, of course, is supported by the users. And this is somewhat of a fair taxation by the users. But I feel as though in this case, if you'll look, in the state of Texas, we have only 2 toll roads, and they're in our area. The other parts of the state, they don't have to pay their toll roads. The highway department is providing this for them, and the people in our area are helping to provide these roads for the entire state. And I feel as though at this point that where the toll road cannot pay for itself by itself, with the terrific cost and land costs and everything, I feel as though we should look more towards the state to get the tax dollar back that we're paying in the form of taxes.
The resolution against the Turnpike tonight has no legally binding effect on the Texas Turnpike Authority. They can still build their turnpike if they want to. However, without the support of the people in this area, without the support of Arlington, Irving, Grand Prairie, Dallas, and Fort Worth, they're going to be hard-pressed to justify it. And Arlington is not about to give that support and approval. Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News on the Move in Arlington.
I'll sell it for 49%. You know.
But you will seek more women delegates to the national
Definitely. Because otherwise we're kind of like where, who was it, Patrick Henry was, you know, taxation without representation. They're doing everything to us, you know, as far as like setting the laws, all the laws that we live with, and yet we don't have anything to say about them, you know. We would like to have as many women as possible, not only in the north central Texas, but in wherever your group comes out, wherever your group meets. Try to get in your group and try to work, you know, cooperatively with the group. It's really important.
Is the Women's Caucus militant?
No, we're not militant, because most of us are not like LIB members or anything like that. We're just tired.
Unfortunately, I've never seen a social organization in which government control got less and less. The history of governments is that they get bigger and bigger and control more and more. So I'm not optimistic it's going to be any less. Now, the question is, how much worse is it going to get? I can't answer that. I do have a kind of a deep down faith in the innate common sense of the American people, and also I have the feeling that there's a great bulwark of strength behind any real efforts to curtail freedom of the press, which is known as the Constitution of the United States. But if a court comes along and interprets the Constitution in some other way, I don't know what'll happen.
We think that the Dallas citizens are intelligent enough to know exactly what they need here. They can best determine the needs as far as law enforcement is concerned. They can function better to have a local group of volunteer tax-paying citizens such as the Civil Service Board that can respond quickly to the changing needs of the community rather than trying to turn it over to a group in the state where they have to go to the legislature in order to get any changes made, or even turn it over to the federal operation. That the needs of Dallas citizens can best be served right here in our own community, as well as be determined what we do need right here.
Is the board going to work one way or the other to influence the election?
This was not a point of discussion, Mr. Reynolds. It was, we're not, at this point, I don't think the board would take a stand as far as becoming actively engaged in trying to influence people's thinking other than to put the facts out. We are very desirous that the people know the facts, and I think once people know the facts, they'll make the right decision.
I think, one, it would be more convenient for a new or old teacher to be able to get a small booklet and find out what our policies are instead of having to go through the policy book that we have through the system. We would have an idea when we work what our duties, our obligations are, and what our services should be to the students and to the system.
How long will it take you to draw up a contract like this?
It would probably take, we'll start on it, if the faculty representatives approve or give permission for us to start on this, it will probably take anywhere from 2 to 3 months to maybe 2 years.
We're trying to make it as nonpartisan as possible. I'll make an open appeal now for all Republicans, independents, and whatever you may be, to please come out and help us balance it. Because, okay, we have more Democrats than Republicans in Texas, so more people are likely to be, but we don't want it partisan.
What are some of the priorities you expect to come out in the organizational meeting this evening?
Probably getting the Equal Rights Movement passed, which isn't local, but also Amendment 4, getting the Texas Constitution rewritten. And from that, we expect that to pass, and we expect the legislature that sits in 72 to be rewriting the Constitution. We would like to see as many women as possible in that legislature.
The 5 members of the Dallas Civil Service Board got together with their secretary, J.W. Jones, to carefully go over the differences between the city's civil service regulations and the Texas law, which both policemen and firemen recently voted to adopt. The session took nearly 2.5 hours, but by the time Jones and Police Chief Frank Dyson had finished outlining those differences and the differences that could be made in Dallas police and fire operations, the board had decided they favored retaining local civil service operations. In the face of police and fire petitions for a local vote to change to state civil service, Board Chairman W.S. Aston explained the board's position.
No, we need this information, legal
information about each of these districts, racial composition, for instance.
See, so it's a different issue altogether.
Well, unfortunately, I've reviewed, and all that you'll find in the minutes is just reference to the fact that he spoke to the point. Districts, you shouldn't take a precinct that is in the heart of one well removed from the one that you want to. In order to result in approximately 6 equal districts, just coterminous census tracts for approximately equal size of 6 districts.
Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously.
Since our committee of the whole discussed in the meetings of January, I think it's 10 and 20.
I was at the Democratic meeting in Dallas, in Austin the other night, and Roy Orr, the new state chairman, and I'll try to be big about this and just blame it off to the fact that he is new and brand new on the scene, had placed the only 2 women who are part of the party structure at the very back row, didn't give them a chance to be heard. I think he's going to hear from women about that.
There were 6 different groups interested in the $47,400 found in a ditch last May. As of this afternoon, there are 5 losers in the lawsuit in Judge Spencer Carver's court. Attorneys for ditch digger R.V. Kirkland maintained throughout the trial that the money that he found in North Dallas while digging a sewer line was lost money. The law says that the finder retains possession of found property against all except the true owner, and the jury decided today that none of the interveners in the suit was that true owner. Mrs. Madeline Williams pleaded her own case before the 6-man, 6-woman jury, saying the ghost of a stingy old man buried the money for her. Nella G. Hammock, also representing herself, was convinced that the money had been stolen from her in 1925. Heirs for W.D. Felder Sr. maintained that it had originally been buried under their old home site on Cedar Springs, and heirs for Oliver Letot made a similar claim. Though appeals will have to be exhausted until the court of last resort, at this time it's apparent that R.V. Kirkland and co-workers C.D. Doolittle and L.C. Stanchel will get the money eventually. What will the lucky finder do with the buried treasure? Mr. Kirkland's wife said that she was going to get a new house. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Judy Hanna.
Glenn Coker, Executive Director of the Dallas County Welfare Agency, which funds the centers, explained the motivation behind this type of plan for the center.
I've been very concerned through the years that due to the rush and in some instances, inexperienced personnel, that people haven't received the kind of treatment that every person should receive. I feel very deeply and very strongly that when we get this set up and well organized, that people will have a greater sense of dignity. Their pleasures about the kinds of foods, the amounts can be really respected.
It may take a while for people to get used to this new supermarket type of center, but as one Dallas County employee said here today, we're going to make this work. Whatever the problem, some 16,000 families will be fed at this particular center each month. This is Donna Witkowski for Channel 8 News on the Move.
Well, I think I'm very concerned about it. Naturally, we had a great game against the Jets, probably the best offensive game that we've ever had as a team. And this concerns me a little bit because you look at a team like New York, who is much better than they've been playing, and they've lost 2 games now to St. Louis and Washington in a row. And so you think, well, maybe it's going to be easy this week, but it's going to be very tough. And I'm very concerned about it, mainly, as you say, because of the defeats of Miami and Minnesota and all the big ones here after good victories.
Coach, where are you now compared to last year? Do you feel you're a better football team than last year?
I feel like we're stronger at this point overall, mainly because our passing game is so much stronger at this point. Craig Martin was hurt last year at this time, and now we have healthy quarterbacks, and we're throwing the ball so very well at this point. And our defense seemed to have picked up against the Jets in pass defense, and I think this will be the real key to our playoff run, is the pass defense that we play.
Coach, could you tell us the situation regarding Jethro Pugh?
Yes, Jethro, who had the attack of appendicitis before the Thanksgiving Day game, and we moved him off for 2 weeks. He's healthy again, and he's working with us again, and we think he'll be activated this week.
Coach, were the players injured in the wreck among your starting 11?
Yes, there were. 2 of them are defensive starters, Roy Poindexter and Kenny Knowles. Both of them are, in fact, they're the leading tacklers on the ball club. Both of them are hurt. Kenny has a broken collarbone, and Roy, his arm's cut up pretty bad, and we don't know the final detail. They're still x-raying.
Is there the possibility that Poindexter will play?
No, there's no possibility. They're both out for the year.
What will this do to your game plan then Saturday night?
Well, really, I haven't thought about it. Of course, the main thing we were concerned about it was the health of the boys. Of course, there's another boy involved, Larry Barton, and he was still in the x-ray room when I left the hospital, but I think they're all 3 going to be all right.
How did the accident happen?
Well, as you know, the roads are real slick, and I understand they hit the brakes and they started sliding and ran into a rail.
Facing an 11 like Wichita Falls, on top of this, puts a heavy load on your shoulders. How will the team react to it?
Well, I haven't had a chance to talk with our boys, and it's definitely going to hurt us on defense and offense, but I'm sure that the team will be ready to play.
How can you compare Wichita Falls with Killeen?
They have a real fine defense, but they have a boy, Ronnie Littleton, that he's just outstanding. There's no way to compare him with anybody we've played. He's just unreal. He's probably the finest football player I've seen in 17 years of coaching as far as running the football.
How many players do you have on your squad that go both ways?
Oh, I'd say maybe 4 or 5.
Now, you go both ways, don't you?
Yes, sir, I do. Quarterback and safety.
Tell us a little bit about the Wichita Falls offense.
Well, they have a real fine quarterback, and they usually run out of a wishbone, and then when they run out of an eye, he's usually at tailback, and he usually runs the ball.
And their defense, what have they done this year?
Oh, their defense is pretty good. They have a real good middle linebacker. Well, he's not really a middle linebacker. He plays a left linebacker, and he looks pretty good.
What kind of an offense are you fellas going to have to mount Saturday night?
Well, we're going to have to drive the ball on them, and if we're going to need the pass, we're going to have to be effective with that, too.
I know that unless states have 50% on their delegation, they're going to be questioned at the Republican convention in San Diego and at the Democratic convention in Miami. And already we have a credentials committee of women lawyers who will take that credentials fight. So I hope every Texas woman, every thinking Texas woman will be there on May the 6th and not just be supporting somebody else, but run herself, because that's the grassroots base you need. And I really am pretty disappointed in my own party. Not only disappointed, but indignant.
As a general principle, I'm opposed to curfew legislation, and the ACLU has been opposed to curfew legislation. I think a curfew, if it is ever justified, is justified in circumstances of extreme turbulence and violence, when life and limb are endangered by some particular momentary turbulence within a community. From what I've heard about Lee Park, that certainly doesn't seem to be descriptive of the situation.
On the outside, this Dallas County Welfare Distribution Center at 3300 Northwest Moreland looks like any of the other 3 free food centers. Actually, it's what's on the inside of the edifice that makes this operation out of the ordinary. It's a serve-yourself plan, the largest of 2 of its kind in the nation. Mother of 8, Mrs. A.V. Geneva, was one of the first welfare recipients to use the new facilities. 1.5 million pounds of food costing $1.5 million goes to stock the centers, including foods from peanut butter to canned turkey. Welfare shopper Mrs. Geneva was instructed by Dallas County employees on how to select food according to the size of her family. What do you think about this new supermarket system?
Oh, I think it's fine.
Why do you like it?
Because it's so much convenience, and we don't have to stand in line like we used to. Don't have to wait as long.
What don't you like about it?
What I don't like about it? It's not anything that I don't like about it.